Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. So we got a Vulcan, we got Epic Duck. Glad to see you. We got Plumber once again. Time to push on Moscow and capture Gettysburg, indeed, and burn down Washington while we're there. So, I got returned about an hour ago. I have actually spent the day in York today. So I've had a couple beers out there, a couple pints out there. So if I do sound a little bit odd, it's because I'm not entirely sober. But there we go. It just makes it ever so spicy, right? Okay. We will see the attack at Manilla today. I'm looking forward to seeing Manilla. The interesting one here is he will have about 500 or so AV there. He did have... I'm not too sure how much AV actually moved away from Clark. We destroyed quite a decent amount of it. He have a 2 tank battalions move to Bataan. Enough to see here, move along. Interesting. Go ahead and open it up. North of the river. Found a really nice bookshop though, actually. That was rather impressive. Well, I need Atlanta. Okay. So, moving from the 24th of January to the 25th of January. We're in actually a fairly strong position in terms of actual positions held. Oh, they're going to do Hanover. That's very nice. This is Dadman. Okay. So we are unloading Metal Lobland. That's going to be a very important position there. That's where we're going to actually base a air fleet there. That will give us a 5 hex command radius. Get out. Oh, thank God. I actually did divert them. I did fear he would do this. I did actually have float plane set to ASW. It was inevitable there, but thankfully they haven't been hit. Please make it out of there. That was lucky there. Whew. We're looking pretty brave today, but we do have a number of actual assets here moving from Palembang to Singapore here today. I haven't had the chance actually to make any of these summary videos as of yet. We've had a bit of luck so far with the submarines. That means something nice is going to happen here. I can imagine Gettysburg would be quite intriguing. Ooh, okay, there's a lot of subs down here. We are seeing some actual, a task force to the south there, but we do actually have a decent amount of escorts with our amphibious forces. We do have a heavy cruiser group. We should be joined by a light cruiser group as well, actually. Those actually being in surface, combat mode. Is the Java Sea ocean shallow or is it ocean deep? Oh, we actually do have a depth charge penetration there, critical. Oh, wow. Now, Naruto and Maru actually doing very well here today. Excellent. Very nice. Is it deep waters there? It looks like deep water, but I could be wrong. But having that actually penetrates is stupendous there. So we had Naruto Maru, we had Nako Maru, Nako. Very, very good so far. Holy hell, what's going on? Normally would have had everything been essentially destroyed by these submarines there. Right, oh, no, still time. Yeah, there we go. Knew there was still time for that. Yeah, okay. Well... Sumire likely will go down there, but she's very old. Yeah, why did you jinx it? I knew it was something gonna happen. I knew something was gonna happen there. Java Shadow. Wow, it does look like deep ocean there. She likely will go down, but she's very cheap in terms of cost. Yeah, she does go down there. I do have a number of ASW assets there in port, so I we can try and hit them. There might be a couple of mines there. She's brought them in out here. Now, this should be shallow ocean, I think, here. Not too sure. I would have preferred an attack there, but that's not by the ASW force, that's with the actual escort force there. But in all fairness, I'd rather have the PC go down than actually have the AV. Obviously, I'd prefer none of them to go down, but it could have been worse. Could have been far worse. The PCs were in... there's 2 task forces I created at Oosthaven. 1 CL, 1 PC, 1 CL, 1 PC. The idea of those being a service combatant group. Just in case he actually sent in some MTBs, which I imagine he would have done, actually. Okay. So you can see we're 1 hex out from our target over here. So I imagine... Well, this is it. We're going to probably have to suffer some aircraft attacks here today. But we will be straight into the port. Oh my god, we have a second jet charge hit. Jesus. Nakomaru on fire here today. Is this a different submarine here? How you doing there, Fall? We had a patrol craft hit by a submarine twice. Doing pretty good. Is that the same submarine as the other one, though? Is it the same one? And if it's had 2 depth charges actually hit it, then it's going to be pretty much doomed there. Elects not to launch torpedoes at this target. Are they moving in today? Ah, right, okay. They should actually be following, but it looks like they actually moved ahead then. Okay. Not intended. Frankly, not intended. But okay. What do we find here? Is this a cruiser mine layer? Okay. Not exactly intended. But there's no mines there. And now we get to see the Soyuz beat it up. No, it's a cruiser mine layer. We're actually beating it up. Oh my god. Had it been a light cruiser, though, we would have got our asses kicked. 19,000 yard range. Though it's interesting to see a cruiser mine layer here. Task force breaks off. Well, that's quite fortunate there. 2 shells, heavy fires there. That were drawn there. They could actually get themselves into a nasty position there. But thankfully it's worked out well enough there. I'm quite amazed at how that actually went there. That was not meant to happen. Yeah, that was not meant to happen like that. But not bad. I mean, we got 2 shells there. I mean, what are they 12 centimeters? So not bad. Yes, the Merchant Marine are rising them. We're arming the Merchant Marine. Well, they are armed, but you know what I mean. So, I do wonder if he was actually attempting to mine that base there. We do have DMSs actually with the Amphibious Force, so thankfully we do have that. What I could do is actually have them sent to mine sweeping and have them sent in there. I don't know why they're going unescorted. They should have an escort. Rather annoying. We don't suffer any losses here today, then, so that's not too bad. I respond to Ceylon. Well, that's quite good then. That's a nice little target to hit there. It's nice to have a little bit of revenge against his actual cruiser miners. Ah, there we go. We do have the Key 27s here. We will be attacking Manilla here today. But so far, a good turn. And the Azconians are not bad. I mean, they do have the armament. Obviously, there being 4 of them does help. Yeah, see, that was meant to happen there. Okay, fair enough. I think they might still be on naval attack. See, this is a problem when you do things at night. You think you've got everything, but you do forget about something inevitably. No, thankfully we do have DMSs here to actually deal with mines, so we should be able to deal with them quite well. We are dealing with these fellows over here, but we're going to go through and actually hit the airfield of Batavia. I'm going to put the pressure on Batavia's airfield, but I also do need to start racking up that damage. So we're moving through here, start to hit the airfield ideally, 17,000 feet. Okay, not bad. Only a couple hits there on the runway, but that's still not bad. So we do see 14 coming in here. I had sent a lot of them to LRCAP. Ideally, I was hoping that we might have had more actually here. 14 is a large number. Ideally, it's not too bad. But then again, there's a number of ships over here. They're all low cost for the most part. So ideally, I was hoping we would have had more there join the cap, but I suppose we did set to LRCAP. But there still should be a section of them on cap, but we'll see. We'll have to take what comes. So Zuya, not the best target to actually engage there. The best target for us, she's been hit by a 300-kilogram bomb. Not insignificant, but we do have control of Singapore, so we can put her into port to repair. I'd rather them actually attempt to hit the warships than the actual amphibious transports. So not bad. So Zuya taking a bomb blow is not exactly ideal. Good practice for her flak. plenty of flag there. Okay, so it could have been significantly worse. I had hoped that we might have had more of the key 43-1Bs there. I think I had about 30% of the actual squadron assigned to it, but it might have been less actually. But I expected more than just 2 there rising up. But it could have been worse. We've got fires there. We're going to have her repaired in... yeah, see, we have them coming out here to use... well, to protect these forces here. So seeing the 139s from Sodovaya. That thing carries 150 mines. Okay, good to know. Well, mines are certainly a risk. But we do have the DMSs. We do have 4 of them, so we can actually deal with that fairly well. So this is going to be the last turn. Ideally, he does this. I do have these zeros over here. Not all the zeros, but I do have a number of zeros here that I've had the time to rest. I mean, Disable's not bad. I can get on top of that. HHU1's there. Blenheims and Buffaloes. All we need to do is actually get in here and get to the Blenheims. If I could take them out, them would be alright there. And they're coming at 6,000 feet, it seems. We should be able to jump on top of them. We'll have these zeros. We'll also have Tojos. I think we're going to have the Tojos actually use a run cap over Chiang Mai. We'll have the Key 43s moved south, I think. Or we might even have them potentially move to another base who can actually allow for the bombing of Rankin's airfield. Though actually hitting the naval assets in Portland wouldn't be a bad idea. Okay. Moving into the PM. Things could still get crazy. We shall see. Ah, so we've seen some DDs there. Just, interesting. That look near Taliban, actually. Interesting. Donia 24K there, destroyed by Cap. It's interesting to see the DDs there. It looked around the Marshall Island area. I'm not worried about that area, really. There's not much it could really do. Not as many hits on the actual runway as I would have preferred, but we will be attacking here today. So do you have another couple 139s coming in here? Okay. Yeah, this was the fear of that. So it seems like I might have actually set the cap a little bit too low here at this Harvard. I mean, it costs us Sazuya taking a bomb, but not too bad. We can have Sazuya repaired at Singapore, really, depending on how bad the damage is. It doesn't look as if it knocked anything out. We had reports of fire, but no heavy damage. But they're built to take that sort of punishment, really. Not so much from above into the decks, but, you know. Yeah, we do need to get a hold on this area. And my commentary is a little bit slow, because I did have a couple pints earlier on, so I'm a little bit slow to react. As we are seeing the Catalinas there at Palembang. That's an interesting one there. Now, we are aware of auxiliaries in Java. In all honesty, that did not go bad. We didn't really have any upsets there. We've actually done fairly well. Hitting the actual cruiser mine layer was nice there. Right, we do have our first deliberate attack over here at Manilla. Now, we were looking about 18 to 1900 AV, I think it was. He was sitting around about 800. We do see that there's a number of forces here, like the 71st Filipino. We do have the 1st Philippine Division here. Those are going to be the ones that hold us up. I don't imagine we'll have a victory here today, but I think we will see the degradation of the fortifications here. I mean, the question's going to be, like, what sorts of fortifications does he actually have here at Manilla? And the beautiful thing is, well, Manilla is a tough nut to crack, don't get me wrong. I mean, they're always tough when you have actual forces like this defending them. But the fact is, he's always going to have that ×2 terrain, whereas Clark was always ×3, so no matter what he does at Clark, sorry, no matter what he does at Manilla, it's not going to equal the defense he had at Clark. So him having lost Clark is just so big in the Luzon Island. Well, in the Philippines. So what I'm going to do here, speed things up, and we'll see how it goes. I imagine we'll have a few casualties here, considering the forces do have... the fatigue wasn't too bad, destruction wasn't too bad, but they're more or less alright. It's just going to be dealing with the fortifications, really. 21st taking a bit of damage there, 65th taking damage, 38th there. We're not looking too bad. Down to 2. So we don't capture the base here, which is not too surprising. Oh, that's not bad there, really. So we have 3,692 casualties there. What did we actually get? So our roll was really bad there. 526, that was really quite bad. Huh. So it looks like we had a really bad roll there. 526 is actually surprisingly low there. But fair enough. It might have been due to the fortifications. But let's see here then. So he had level 3 fortifications then, it seems. Okay, so he had level 3 fortifications. He's down now to level 2 fortifications. That's fine, we'll be able to break through that. 3,692 casualties, 18 destroyed there, 392 disabled. A fair amount of disabled, but this is to be expected. We inflicted 1,551 casualties there, so not quite 2 to 1, but not far off. 39 squads destroyed, 101 disabled, 19 non-combatants destroyed there, 114 disabled. 5 engineers destroyed, 20 disabled. He lost 74 guns here, so 38 guns destroyed, 36 disabled. 1 vehicle destroyed, 16 disabled. So this is it. They didn't have like a proper rest, but the issue is we're in the malaria zone, so they're not going to get down to like really low fatigue. We had enough time move in between. They had enough time resting. And that's the issue with malaria, you're not going to get them down to anything amazing. But we do need to start the attack. But what we'll do now is give them the time here to rest. But that's a pretty good result there, in all honesty. We didn't have any bonuses, but we didn't have any malices either. Yeah. As Monkey says there, the fatigue and disruption was pretty much normal. We did attack with that sort of number at Clark anyhow. But not bad. Not a bad way to start the engagement in Manilla. We took him down from level 3 to level 2 fortifications. Attacking over here once again. I'm trying to break them, but I don't know if they'll break here. They do seem to have quite a few forces there. Right, they are out of supply though, so that's good news. That does limit their abilities tremendously. So yeah, we just probably don't have enough AV to force them to surrender. Not a bad turn, man. So it looks like that will do it. So is that all we had there in the ground phase? It seems like it. Chiang Mai's managed to size 3 airfield, which is going to be extraordinarily helpful for us. Actually gives us a lot more to work with there. I'm somewhat tempted to disable... Well, no, I can leave Chiang Mai expanding. The issues that we have at Pegu is not so much the supply draw at Chiang Mai. And at Chiang Mai it's fine anyway because of the actual rail line there. It's more sort of an issue that, again, supply to Pegu is there is like a limit to how much supply can move to Pegu, it seems. So all in all, not a bad day then. So we do have as you take a bomb. We had one of the actual patrol craft there. Take 2 torpedoes and go down, but we actually put... did anybody see, was that the same submarine that we hit twice, or was it 2 different submarines that we actually hit with depth charge penetrations? There we go, 3rd KOS moving there. I'll see you live then, deepicduck, have a good one, my man. We do have the 56th Infantry Brigade arrive at Shanghai, great news. That gives us a little bit more, we can see if we can actually reform that division then. All in all, a pretty good turn. All in all, pretty good. We had the things go as we needed. There was no great upsets, we didn't have anything go catastrophic, so I'm pretty happy with that now. So we are now into the 25th of January, we will be arriving at Java tomorrow, is when we'll make our footfall. We know now what we can do, we can obviously have our forces, I think obviously increase the cap at Uthavan, but due to the fact that they are closer to Palembang and Sumatra, we can actually use aircraft from out that end. The issue over here at Banjarmasin is due to the fact that I did actually have a lot of requirements at the base last turn. It didn't automatically update. It doesn't automatically update until the next turn. So I was not allowed to actually use the drop tanks, which is a shame, which did limit their effectiveness. But in all honesty, I suppose it didn't go that badly. And having more long-range cap over here may not have actually helped. But we do have a squadron here. They're sitting at only 8 fatigue. I could potentially have them shifted, but I don't want to have them shifted again due to that fatigue. But they're not bad. You can see that we have 87 aviation support here. That 5th Air Division then is being unloaded then. Let's see. I had thought they might have actually been unloaded there. Is that really? I thought there was more actually to that then. Huh, okay. Well, that's fair enough then. So we do have the actual air division here, which is going to help out. In fairness, I do have a large number of assets here. Obviously, I'll be moving the transports out of here then soon enough. So that's probably why then. Yep, okay. At least by having the air division, we are in a pretty good position. 87 down to 141. Not too bad. It's a size 3 base. We'll have those... I could actually have the Key 43 shifted now. Banjarmasin isn't really... terribly important as such. Okay, so we saw that there's a cruiser Mile here, which was forced to retreat. We're not seeing any mines over here, but we wouldn't see the mines. So we're still looking at 1 unit. He has the 10 auxiliaries over here. Yeah, we'll take a look at Sazuya. Service combat. So that's Tama. He's over. So Sazuya there, so 4 system damage, 8 flotation, 5 engine. Yeah, she's in good shape. It is major damage, so that's a bit annoying. But I can have her sent to Singapore to actually repair. It is a Mogami. I think the Mogamis are they the most armored cruiser we have? I'm not entirely sure, but I know they have some of the best armor. Yeah, I mean, that is a, is that a armor-piercing bomb? So she didn't do too bad at all then, really. That's good then. That is good. Our forces over here then. Yep, they're loaded up. Then just load the supplies here. I should have... Oh, did they load up all the actual regiments? Ah, right, okay, they were meant to load them as well, that's strange. Okay. Well, that's fine, I can still land. Yeah, we can still land there. A little bit annoyed though. Yeah, it does sort of upset the actual... It's a little bit strange, but that's not too bad. Yeah. Right, what I'll do here then, undock, so that's 22,000 tons. How are we looking here? What is it tonnage here? So I'm looking at 36,000 tons then. What I can do then is... Well, we don't have to have the entire regiment go across at once. We'll have more than enough. Obviously, we'll be moving across multiple turns. I would have preferred to have actually had them all move across at once, but even so, that regiment is more than enough to secure Merrick. I mean, once we actually have the base, we can actually have them moved across pretty easily. We're aware that there's actually a submarine operating in this area here. But I mean, that is most definitely ocean shallow. So it's not a great place for him to be operating his submarines, really. He's using his submarines here to try and prevent us just whatever the cost, really. I think it's worthwhile going over here to the north end, as we can actually concentrate here. But if we take a look over here at amphibious, so we do have, we have a light cruiser, 3 destroyers in here, but we also have the W4, the W7, the W8, and the W20. These are minesweepers out here, actual destroyed minesweepers. So what we can do then is actually have them move into the base here to actually sweep it of mines, which will be good there. Yeah, we'll take a look at that now, for. So if we take a look at today, then he had 2 P-17s actually lost to ops losses, supposedly. 7 139s go down, 1 Dina goes down, a G4 goes down there. Those are ops, a B-18 Bolo. Hudson Adonia, that was shot down by a cap. Ship losses today, then. Yeah, she was only 3 points. She's essentially an old destroyer. I mean, I would have preferred to have kept her, to be honest, as she's still quite useful. But I'm glad it wasn't the AV, to be blunt. I would much rather it not be an AV, which is worth significantly more than she was. Pretty fortunate there. Now, I do have plenty of destroyers out here, so we can actually have her meet her from Balwa. Not bad. So we do see a number of assets out here, then. Well, I say a number of assets, but that's very... that's pretty brazen, actually. I thought that was the Marsh Islands. DD here. At Duff Island. Well, the good news is Tulagi is actually good on supply right now. She has 2,320 tons of supply there. There's another 320 tons there to be unloaded. We've seen some assets out here that were in Port Moresby. Okay. And a single warship like that is no threat, but it's intriguing. I don't know if he could have moved his carriers like that. I don't think it's the carriers. They would have had to be moving pretty much... not straight away, but I don't know if he would have done that. The interesting thing is we actually do have good detection out this way. So it's surprising we haven't detected him earlier than that. So that does make me think he's actually coming from like this sort of area here. It's an interesting one, really. We're looking at 11 there. 25 from Rabal. He's 20 from Talawa. Okay. So the issue is there's not that much I can actually do with Tulagi here to actually defend Tulagi properly. But Talagi does actually have a rather large number of engineers here. So she can actually look after herself pretty well. There's a pretty decent amount of aviation support. In all honesty, it's far too much aviation support. These units will be actually shifted around. But for the time being, they're there. Still loading over here. So we're at 1,000 tons of supply right now, which is useful. We do have our fast transport unloading another 1,000 tons of supply here to finish off. So we're looking at about 8,000 tons in lay at this moment in time, which is good news. We're going to be at level 4 airfield next turn, which is excellent. We do have our actual construction units moving to the north. We have the vast majority of them. So they're not too far out from being a Nadzab. We'll be able to begin to build Nadzab up. We are going to be building a Wow. Wow, how do you want to pronounce that too? Wow. Yeah, okay. Unloading cargo here, we do have our fuel continuing to unload here too. So you can see that we're at 13,000 tons of supply, 13,000 units of fuel here as well. We do have a number of actual submarines in the port here that are essentially acting as protection for the time being. I would like to have more aviation support here in all honesty. But we will have the aviation moved around and shifted to the other airfields as they become available. But we're at 74% now into the airfield expansion, so not too bad there. Closing in that magical point, again, the size 7. I had thought it was actually due to the upgrades, but the reason why you want a size 7 is so you can actually get the replacements. That's the reason why, I believe. Okay. We do have an important base here. I did decide to actually send these forces here. Yeah, so they're headed down there. It's very risky having the 11th Air Fleet on 2 ships, but when moving in there, they do at least have an actual adequate escort. They have the patrol boat and the 2 cruiser mine layers, which is almost certain to mean that one of those cruiser mine layers, if not both, are going to go down. But it's not too bad. There's not much else I could have given them as a proper escort, really. And we do have the mines there. It's somewhat tempted to lay the mines, but we're going to hold off from that. They do have a good amount of maneuverability. They actually do have some guns there, but only 80mm guns, but that's still something. Yeah, just 80s. Okay. I mean, we could move them at full speed, but the thing is, if you move them at full speed, you might be just moving into full speed, well, sub at full speed over here, really. We should be okay. Should be okay. We're not seeing a submarine in that area right now. He's going to be probably more concerned with the Java Sea than over here in the Banda Sea. But yeah, it's something that we have to take into consideration. I do have these G4s running ASW patrols. I'm going to have that lowered there. Actually no, we'll just throw them back on naval patrols. And there we go. It has been a little bit weird because we have been moving through the turns very quickly. We've been doing them fairly late at night, which doesn't always produce the best results though. Oh well. So we're at 22 soldier strength here. They're going to have to recover their strength there. I do have these assets over here. I did have the actual 3 destroyers. I did decide to actually send them back here to escort properly. I figured it was actually worthwhile to do that. We do have 16th Engineer Regiment and 16th Reconnaissance, which I had thought were over Venabanjmarsen, but they were not, unfortunately. So I have them sent out. We do have these construction units, which are following 134 here, who are following 326. But that's not bad. We're going to have them actually head down here to Loveland. I may potentially have to have them flown in there. But if they have vehicles, it does make it harder. We should be able to get them here. We'll see. Right, we're going to have them move that way. They have a... I can actually split that up to some degree, so that's not too bad. Right, so follow the DDs. There we go. Yep, there we go, looking good there. Now, I do have the Heavy Cruiser on 2 DDs over here. Supposedly, we do have a couple patrol boats. Yes, we do. We have the 11 Knotters. So I can actually have the 11 Knotters sent out that way. They don't have a tremendous amount of endurance. But I could do with having them sent back towards Makassar, that sort of area, really. Because we don't have... Well, we actually do have fuel here. Never mind. We're fine, actually, at Kopang. That's not too bad. We'll have them patrol that hex. Yeah, they're fine, man. That's good then. I didn't realize we had bad fuel. I thought the submarines had sucked it up. I do have a number of assets over here. What I did decide to do then was rather lazy last night. But I sent these actual submarines over here. These guys are going to use for the actual blockade and a path as much as possible, really. The reason being they're actually capable of... They've got that endurance. We also have I-23 and I-25. So what we'll do then is we'll have them operate as a group now with 2 patrol planes, which will be quite nice. If we do have submarines with that sort of endurance, we could have them potentially sent out that way. I could potentially rotate them. We do have some subs over here that have slightly higher endurance, like 8,000 isn't too bad, but I don't know. They could probably manage it, but I don't want to be wasting fuel being back and forth, really. These guys over here, they do have significantly more. I mean, these guys, it's not a dramatically... it's not a dramatic difference in the amount of fuel they carry, but they just have a little bit more there. They just get to spend a little bit longer time on station, which is always nice. Have a subs over here then. Yeah, so we will be stepping ashore at Java tomorrow, which is excellent. I don't think I need to worry about Mines of Merrick. Potentially we may have to, but we'll see. We have enough forces to make it happen. We're close to... Well, we have Singapore open to us now, which is good. So I do have my assets over here, so these are the DMSs moving to Georgetown. So we will be sweeping Georgetown of mines in the turn coming, which is excellent news. So I'll do then set their destination to Georgetown. There we go. Yeah, so we'll clear Georgetown of mines. These DMSs do come in really quite handy. Was it a mistake to have 16 of them available for Singapore? Probably so. I probably should have had them moved around a little bit sooner rather than later, but it doesn't hurt that much. We can probably use them to a decent degree out here in the Indian Ocean. Right, we have a heavy cruiser over here. I sent that up there just to make sure we had something that could potentially handle a crazy situation if one did develop. But it's not a bad thing to actually have some firepower moving up there. Right, moving to Georgetown. There we go. Okay. Sword by infantry. Is there a division I can actually rebuild? We might be able to rebuild one shortly. I think we're just missing a reconnaissance armored unit. There's one of them that we should be able to rebuild shortly. So that's 4th Tank Regiment over there, but that's an independent unit. It might not have actually moved out of Singapore yet. No, it has moved out of Singapore, okay. Whereabouts are we? Not here either. Has it arrived at Taiping? Ah, there we go, we have it at Taiping now. Yes, they're part of 5th Division. Yep, so we have them... right, okay. So we'll be able to reform 5th Division shortly then. We're just waiting on the 5th Reconnaissance to move across to Georgetown. We also do need to actually have here. So 114. You belong to 18th. Okay, excellent. Yeah, so we should be able to reform the 18th there. They're moving across to Georgetown. 18th and 5th will be reformed shortly then, so that'll give us 2 full divisions to work with. This regiment over here is going to take some time. It's one of these. It's nasty to move out into the Malayan jungles there, but it had to be done because we did have an Indian brigade there. They would have inevitably come out of those jungles, and they would have caused problems. Inevitably. That was a problem there. Can't just leave them, unfortunately. So we do have our torpedo boats over here. Have them back in there. Load of this unit, and we'll be able to move out there, so that's good news. We'll have them all in position. So what we'll be doing then is, this turn, is we'll be prepping for the full-blown operation on Java. In all fairness, it might not be a bad idea to actually have a smaller force move across it first, and then have the rest move in. And if we're looking over here, then these ships here, so it's 14 assault value, 15. Are these ships like... Wow. Which ships are these? These are the AKLs. That's strange. Right. 11 assault strength. Advanced 13. We have here 20... No, sorry, 15. Yeah, so they're all carrying around about 10 to 20 assault value there, roughly. Which is fine. They're carrying supplies there. It's fast enough. They're Aiden, so they're fairly durable. They only have to go 1 hex, that's the beauty there. I mean, we are aware of a submarine here, but apparently it's an AP import there. There's just only so much it can do. The beauty is we do have here, in this force we do have some patrol boats I could potentially use. We do have Tama, we do have Trollcraft there. I do worry about the actual heavy cruisers. I may potentially leave the cruisers, but we'll have to see. We do have the patrol boats here as well. They're looking fairly good. Now, so he's not actually running reconnaissance over Palembang, he's actually running reconnaissance over naval assets in the area. So of course he's aware of these fellows. But what can he do at this point here? He's got a number of gunboats, and that's likely what's going to happen here. So all we need to do then is be fully aware that we are likely to receive a large amount of attacks from gunboats next turn. The issue is I can't move into Batavia, because obviously there's mines there. And there's also a coastal gun unit there. Not that they're much of a problem, but I don't want to get involved with those mines. His mines probably work, ours probably don't. So we're not getting involved there. We shouldn't be too bad. We've got plenty enough force over here. And there's a light cruiser, a couple destroyers there. We have the patrol boats. We also have a DMSs. We have Keiko over here as well. There's 4 destroyers there. We have Isuzu and 3 destroyers there. And then we have... Oh, we have Haguro and another 4 destroyers there. There we go. The worry here, the only difficulty is I can't exactly operate as I would like to. Because we do have to be aware of the mines here at Batavia. But I could potentially patrol just outside Batavia. And we should be fine there. Like in that hex and this hex, it might be an idea to potentially have the heavy cruisers moved into that area there. But we do see a number of assets over here at Surabaya. That's something that we might have to consider doing really. But we'll be making landfall here during the actual night, which is good news. The forces moving in here. What do we have here then? So we have a mix of Aidens. Have some large ones in here, so like Tohos. Yes, it's a large task force of Aidens and Tohos. It'll be able to move in. Each ship has supply aboard, so we're looking pretty good there. The troops know what their mission is. We should be fine. We do have a second wave over here, essentially. What is near enough a division. So we're more than capable of moving in there, and actually moving in reserves, which is nice. Another light cruiser there. But they're not going to arrive in time. We do have our forces moving now, which is excellent. So I do have this force over here. So this is Atago, Etago, Maya, Chokai, Mikuma, Oi. We do have a number of destroyers in here. We have a number of actual assets here. These guys I have here at Singapore, so I can actually have the Imperial Guard Division move north quickly. But I also want to move a large amount of supply north quickly. And that's what we want to do there. Okay. So we have Imperial Guard Division here. I imagine they've enjoyed their time recovering. So we're now sitting pretty at 416 assault strength there, which is nice. But I'm going to have them actually continue to operate separately. So you can see their TOEs at 94 there. Yep, they're looking good. But I will have them actually operate separately. The reason being I can actually have them deployed against separate targets, which is nice. What I plan to do is actually have 1 detachment sent over here to Migui. Migui, I don't know how you want to pronounce that. And then 2 probably over here to the Void, or maybe 2 there, 1 there. Let's take a look. Is the terrain the same? Ooh, yeah, we'd need 2 there to Void just to make sure it'd be in Jungle Rough. I don't imagine there'd be anything tremendous there, but you want to make sure. So we see a ship over here. He's probably sneaking them in 1 at a time, really. Hayashio is over here. Unloading additional elements of the 62nd JAF. Supply over here. I'm looking forward to when we can actually get a supply convoy moving up there. Yes, we do have it moving now. We have 10,000 tons there. I do also have another 3,000 tons here in this Port Blair force. I might actually have them combined, perhaps, or even actually have them follow them. But yeah, you can see we have the forces moving up here. We do have 41 oil over here at Benkalis, which I'll be taking over in short order. Though I would like to actually have a unit there to allow for cap. The issue is there's no port, there's no airfield, which is kind of annoying. So I'd have to cap it. Or build the airfield up to allow for a proper cap. But that's all doable. I could even fly a coin there perhaps in the future. And the 22nd Air Flotilla is going to be heading to Port Blair in the future as well. So we'll have 22nd Air Flotilla established out here at Port Blair, which will be very nice. But actually gives us a lot of security out here. But he knows what's going to come now. He knows what's coming, and that it is Japanese Imperial Might moving up here into the Andaman Sea, and he knows there's not much he can do about it. We do have our forces continue to move north here, but are now in movement mode, which is good. You can see their assault strength has actually increased to 104. We're not seeing much in the way of forces out here. He looks to be moving forces down to Rangoon. Which in fairness is, yeah, okay. I don't really imagine he'd do much else. But in all honesty, it's one of those situations of where he might be looking to assemble as much AV as he can to try and have a go at pushing us out of Burma. But that's easier said than done. So we have 464 assault strength here. There we go. So I think next turn we actually will have the amount of supply required, so that's good news. Then, at that point where we actually do have a supply required, we're going to enter into a point of where we aren't actually worrying now, which is good. Here we go, and that worked out really well. So I do have the RTA cavalry out here. It looks like it went really well, actually. Yeah, I figured it was actually time to have things begin moving. So, we've done our little truffle shuffle, so we do have the RTA cavalry in there. So we now have freed up the 3rd RTA division in its entirety. They're now moving north over here. But the good news is, even though I don't have a 6 RTA, I do have elements of the... they're not in here yet. I thought they might have been. Looks like they're just... I thought one of them might have been there, but that's fine. No, they went this way, okay. No, that's fine. I thought they might have... No, of course they can't go that way. They just go that way. I thought the rail line went like that for some reason. But they will arrive next turn, then, so that's fine. We haven't had any damage at Bangkok, then. We'll have a garrison in there tomorrow, then, so that's fine. And we start building forts in Pegu. Well, I don't have any I don't have enough supply for fortifications in Pegu. There's no point fortifying Pegu as well, due to it being a clear hex terrain, which is not worthwhile. We can take Rangoon. I mean, that's the thing. Had he the AV to kick us out of Burma, I imagine he would have been moving there. He could have done that, but then he would have been fighting in clear terrain as well, so it's one of those of where he'd be throwing away his advantages, the advantages he has of Rangoon. He's likely fortified, but we'll be moving the Imperial Guard Division north. We'll move the 5th and 18th Division? Is it the 55th and the 18th Division? So we're going to be moving at least 3 divisions into Burma in short order. So no matter what he really does now, it's just simply a matter of time. We'll have the divisions land out here. I could potentially risk a landing up here at Mulmian. It's a size 1 port. At least Tavoy and Miyu, however you want to pronounce that, they're level 2 ports, which is something I can work with. But what I want here with these guys is the major road, because once we take that, then that means that supply can move up from these bases as we march north as well, and it will give us more than enough supply here. We do have another division that'll be moving up to Pegu in short order, which is nice. The JNAF Koi is moving down to Mulmian. The issue is it just takes so long to march here, but I do have armor that is making its way over here to the north. You can see that we have... there we go, we have 7th Army now. So 7th Army is not too far from Chiang Mai, so when they do arrive in Chiang Mai, that's going to allow our forces to actually operate, well, one would say sufficiently, to what we'd expect, really. Sufficient standards. We do have 14th Tank Regiment there, they're not too far away. And we have... Oh, that's a construction unit moved to Chiang Mai. We should have another tank unit. As we have the 7th Tank Regiment and we have the 1st Tank Regiment moving north there. So that is 107 tanks there. And... so keep the number 107 in your mind. And then we have another 33 there. So that's 140 tanks moving north. We do have 12 light tanks in there that do need to be repaired in time. But I could have them potentially repaired in Rangoon, considering it's a large base, really. But yeah, that's 140 tanks. Now, they're not going to move as fast as they would on major road. But with this being secondary road, tanks will still move about 30 miles a day, which is not bad. Essentially, they're not moving 60 as they would do on major road. They're only going to be moving 30. But that's still good. I mean, that's the speed at which infantry march on major roads. That's still good. They'll move across here fairly quickly. And then actually getting some tanks into Burma would be pretty damn nice, actually. And a lot of this is actually jungle, but a lot of this is actually clear terrain. And tanks would be excellent due to the fact that we do have a lot of major road out here. So getting those tanks into Burma is going to be really quite key, I reckon. It would allow us to move in it quickly, and potentially faster than he would actually expect here in Burma. That'd be nice. The British units do tend to have a capability of dealing with armor, but they don't have a overly large amount of AT, and I'm not too sure what the Burmese units actually have equipped with them. So he's moving there. Ah, okay. Well, he's only just moved across then. What I need to do here then, I could do with actually bombing him, but it looks like he's moving to the coast here. Now, I think that's about 200 AV or so there. Interesting. But he's moving here along secondary roads. What I need then... I mean, what I could do is actually have a unit march out and meet him in the field here. And then what we'll be able to do by having the division follow up is essentially, by the time he arrived here, we'd arrive a turn after. He's not going to be able to defeat the division, so he's kind of doomed out there. It's clear terrain as well, so we'll catch up soon enough. Yeah, it's an interesting move, actually. He hasn't done all that much in China, so that move in there is an intriguing one there. But I'm quite glad we have caught it early and we have been able to respond to it, so that's quite good. Still moving that mixed brigade here. They'll be arriving shortly enough. We do have our forces over here marching north now of Nanyang. We do have it in mind to actually have some AK sent out here to Port Arthur, considering we have a lot of supplies out here that do need to be somewhat forced into China, just to make sure we have more supply here. Hey, Domestic, good to have you, my man. Just a dad. Right, so I do have units moving here. I did decide the best move as well was to actually have one of the mixed brigades. It did hurt to do it, but I decided it was actually smart to have one of the mixed brigade units moved over here to this hex. The reason being that when we do inevitably catch up with this unit, we'll be able to kick these guys. He's not moving here, thankfully, so that's good news. It's been a pretty good turn. We're in a good position to actually be landing upon Java tomorrow. We did have a... Well, we had a bloody battle at Manilla, but 3,900, and they weren't all dead. That's pretty good. We're at 1,613 here, so we had that AV knocked down there due to disabled. But the actual divisions here, 2nd's at 94, 65th is at 66, 48th is at 93, 38th is at 91. The 21st Division, but the 21st Division was the one that was most... butchered. Well, not butchered, but the one that had suffered the most was always going to be lower anyway. So we are sitting quite high then of fatigue, 47, lot of disruption there, so that was quite nasty on them in terms of disruption of fatigue. But that's fine, they can actually go ahead and just continue to rest, and what we'll do then is have the artillery, the sweet, lovely artillery bombard. So we had one of the engineer regiments lose its engineers there, well, it's actual AV. But the good news is... I do have these engineers out here. You can see that we have the 33rd Regiment finally making it here. It's not the entire 33rd Regiment, just seems to be some element of it, which is very strange. Maybe an independent element. So I'm not too sure if we have a 33rd Infantry Regiment. And this might be potentially like an independent aspect of it. I'm not too sure. And we do have these fellows over here. Now, we are building the fortifications. What I might do is actually have these guys just rest properly, so they can actually rebuild their strength. We're going to have level 3 fortifications next turn, so I might as well just leave it as they are. How strong are Japanese infantry divisions compared to US or British ones? Well, the Japanese divisions, a lot of them do tend to have like pretty good experience and morale. The reason why Allied divisions do tend to do very, very well is because they have a lot of firepower. They tend to have a lot of artillery, they tend to have just a lot of actual equipment. The Japanese really did struggle with artillery for the most part, and it was further exacerbated as the war went on. There just wasn't that production of artillery, really. I do need to go ahead and actually start reading the BLeAcHACiD books in the future. That's on the list there. But from some of the material I've read from an Osprey book, actually, it was suggesting something around the nature of... I can't remember what it was now, but it was not a large amount of guns. Yeah, early war division, sorry. Again, apologies for a little bit of commentary. I feel like I'm sobering up a little bit. Get in there. Get in there. So yeah, we'll have the bombardment in Manila, but the good news is we took it down to level 2 fortifications, so it's going to be just easier and easier. But the fact is, he was at level 3 fortifications, it could have been significantly worse. I think we'll be able to get it soon enough. I saw that Soviet mechanized units are really strong with around 900 AV. Yeah. That's pretty mental. Okay. The good news now is we have the 33rd here. The quality of IJA infantry divisions varies a lot. Well, that's it. Okay. So I do need these independent engineer regiments to recover. They have plenty of engineers, but I want to have them recover their IJA engineers. That's what I want there. But they're doing that. They'll recover soon enough. Manilla's a large base as well, but I don't think it's large enough sufficiently to block... It should be large enough to block that malaria. Maybe the port's not large enough, but it should be large enough there. It's got size 10. Maybe you have to have slightly larger than that. Possibly. Either way, so we do have the 31st Special Base Force, which will be in Clark tomorrow. So that will bring us another 27 AV there. We do have the 24th JAF, which will also be in Clark tomorrow, which will bring us another 7 AV there. So we're going to have Bataan creep up there to about 100 plus AV shortly. Which is not a huge amount of AV, but he doesn't have a huge amount of actual assault value at Bataan either. And this is why we're building all the fortifications, just to make sure that he cannot kick us out there. Hey, do that, Mike? Good to have you. Can you do something about strengthening your own divisions when you secure enough resources? Unfortunately not. The best thing you can do about your divisions is just to make sure you rest them as much as you can. Make sure you get the replenishments out there. Yeah, the Chinese have a freakish amount of units. Oh dear. Right, they're moving in there. So we're going to have more of our air power shifted down here to Clark, which is good. But we can see, as far as I can tell, he's not moving units out of Bataan now. And that makes sense, considering that we have, like, ties-free terrain here. We have... Well, we'll have level 3 fortifications next turn. So I think that was the toughest he ever made. It was about ties-free, perhaps. I'm not too sure there. Still more AV that can be shifted there. Eventually I'm going to have all of the actual aviation shifted to Clark, because it's just so large. We don't really need any other airfields. Okay. Oh, there we go. So I feel significantly better about this now. So I do have a Sasebo SLF Koi here at Batangas, but they're going to be moving it. They should have moved into Maoban. But okay, I think it's due to the roads there. But what I don't know, maybe I just leave them there. It's 21 assault value. What I could do is actually march down here. That actually would be a good idea. I could potentially march them down to Lucina. It would give us additional assault value at Lucina. It'd take us to about 80 or so assault value, which is not enough to actually defeat them. But I think by taking that Hexide there, I would prevent him from being able to march north. So we'd actually be able to prevent him from marching north. He could potentially march that way, so we'd have to march in and out to make sure he couldn't. But they're going to be running on low supply, inevitably. So that's intriguing. So we have the base here. We have our supply moving into this area here. It's quite a lot of supply. I'm not intending to have all of this supply here in all honesty, but I'm going to have some of this actually distributed through the bases in this area. I thought we'd do something of a land supply here, move supply elsewhere, just keep it moving around really. Well, actually what I could potentially do is actually have them docked up in port and actually have the ships sent out individually to where we need that supply. Okay. So we have them ready. So we're going to load the 23rd JAF Airfield Battalion. I'd like to replace them potentially in the future with some other unit. Because these guys with actual AV are fantastic. Right, we'll have them move down here to Tay-Tay. Yeah, looks like Tay-Tay. Tay-Tay, there you go. So now there's a sub over here. That's not too bad. And we were fortunate to get the BBs in here unharmed. We were fortunate to have the AV make it out unharmed. I told them to actually head north as well, so we might have avoided more submarines. The beauty about them is they're pretty damn fast. I mean, that's 15 knots. That one's slightly slower at 14, but they're fast enough. So they're going to move there to Tay-Tay, that's good. What I'll tell them to do is actually head into Tay-Tay, but I'm going to tell them not to unload their cargo. I'm going to tell them to actually disband into the port there. No, we folded the Hades K4s in there. By accident, I think it was. We'll have to try and see what we can do to try and repeat the conditions there. I agree it would have been nice if it had been Horror 11, but hey, it got accidentally folded in there. Is THG on the break now? I'm not too sure. He can send it when he likes. I don't particularly mind. So they're heading over to Osaka. It's nice to be able to focus on one campaign at a time, to be honest. It does make it significantly easier just to know what the hell's actually going on sometimes. Okay. Now we're looking pretty good. So he's got 12 units, so those are the units that were in Nanyang. The unit over here, so it doesn't look like he's marched them either. These fellows are marching to the north, so it's going to take them some time here due to the secondary roads. But then they'll be in position here. And we are closing on SunYan. There's not really anything he can do at this point now. I don't think. He's got 6 units over here, but 6 units in clear terrain can break that, no problem. Our units march across here. So they're at 30 miles there. I could potentially put them into combat mode, but I think we should be able to actually do 15. We've done 15 last turn, we did 15 this turn. I should be able to put them in... I should be able to actually keep them in movement mode. And then I can put them into combat mode the next turn, we'll move across there. Spicy. Yeah, we're definitely doing better than we did in the other campaign. But that's to be expected. That was the first game I played. We've had to learn some harsh lessons. I've already learned lessons which I've applied to future campaigns. I mean, this is it. In future campaigns, we'd really, really make sure we built up these areas. So, like, Rabal, Kopang, just really build them up as quickly as possible. If they are in combat mode, do they march 7 or 8 miles? It depends on the road that they're on. On secondary road, they will march about half. So I think... I'm going to say probably round down. I don't think it tends to round up, but I could be wrong there. Safe option is assume down, I guess. As we do have 35th Division in place over here. It is shock attack where the area then in clear terrains. We'll actually, yeah, we'll have them go for a shock attack there. I do have my divisions marching over here. They're marching to SunYan, so they can actually spread out there. Looking good. Yeah, so we have the divisions here. We're looking pretty good here. Well, the issue is, oh my god, if we'd had guessed right, we would have been able to actually engage his carriers with our own carriers. That would have been very nice. That would have greatly changed the war, but it didn't actually turn out like that way. The issue was we probably should have dropped Karga from the outset, but then this is it. We didn't know how far he was going to go. He's a wily bugger, really. But for all the losses, even the loss of NKB hasn't affected us all that much. It does affect us the fact that I've lost flexibility. We lost those aircraft and those pilots. We lost able ships, which, don't get me wrong, does hurt. But we've carried on. We'll have Burma. We'll move into India in time. China's looking good. I mean, this is the beautiful thing here. To take Chongqing would be especially nice, but I'm not especially eyeing Chongqing. I mean, it could probably be done, but it does make me wonder. If he's not moving his forces, it could be done, but if he doesn't... Well, if he does move forces, I'm going to be moving towards Langchao. Langchao is going to be the real goal there. And if we can actually take Burma and take, like, Langchao, take the actual oil-producing assets and fuel-producing assets in northern China, essentially China would collapse as his heavy industry would shut down. The Burma road would be gone now. At that point, it would be slow grind and attritional warfare, but it's slow grind and attritional warfare. Well, he is fighting with about a third of his strength there, which means it could be done. Well, we lost 2 light carriers and 2 escort carriers. Oh dear. No, even losing all the carriers doesn't end the war. I mean, there is a pretty famous AAR, which Infinite Monkey does try to remind me about all the time if I ever get a little bit upset, where somebody actually lost the Killer Battalion at the outset of the war, just outside Pearl Harbor. And they didn't end the game, and I think that went on a long time, actually. Right, so we have 116th here. You can see they're shaking off quite a lot of their fatigue. These units over here, even though they're not rested, they are still shaking off some of this fatigue and disruption, so it's not too bad. These guys at the 116th actually did have a fair amount though, so it's good to see they're shaking it off. The American player had sallied out all of his surface assets, I think it was, so they were just essentially engaged. I haven't read it for a while, actually. Was it something elephant, shooting the elephant, white elephant, or something like that? I think that was the name, and it was something wrong along those lines. Yeah, something around that. Okay. So we do have our unit here. That one continues to march north to Chengchao. I was moving across there, okay. Now, we're looking frankly great. There's not much he's done here. I mean, I'd like to get more reconnaissance, to be honest, but the goal is going to be Xi'an. That's going to be the goal there. Xi'an, Langchao. We might have been able to break into Chongqing, but the issue is it's nasty terrain out there, because it's all wooded, rough, and all mountainous. But what we'll do then is essentially we'll try to take it if I can. Which bloody key did I press here? Oh god, I pressed the wrong key. Oh no. I forgot what key it is. Oh no. Well, okay. Let me save here because I forgot which key it is I just pressed there. I'm hoping I didn't press the one where it tells you the supply efficiency, because if it's a supply efficiency, we'll be doomed. I forgot which key it is. Well, I've saved it there anyway. I'll double save to make sure. I don't think it's the supply efficiency. If it was the supply efficiency, it would be here in about 10 minutes. Yeah, the US does tend to have a lot of those assets. Which key is it? It's not W. No, not Q. Not E. I forgot which one it is. It's roads. Which hotkey is it now? Might be too that I pressed that by mistake. Ah, there we go. Good news. Which one was it I pressed? Oh, so I pressed 3 there. Okay. There's a hotkey for the one where it tells you like the supply efficiency, or supply loss, etc. And that one took a very long time. we learned our mistake on that one. Okay, these units are moving north there. Now, what are we marching on? We're marching on a major road there. It's likely going to take 3 days due to this, these units actually have a fatigue and disruption. What I could probably do then is actually have the armoured... I don't know, but again, might as well have them move alongside the infantry, it doesn't really matter. Actually, no, what I could potentially do is have the armoured move up this turn. So they would actually be in the actual hex. I could actually have them in combat mode then. I can actually have the divisions then set to combat mode so that when they did arrive, they can actually launch an attack there. But it might be simply worthwhile actually having our forces. I mean, we have to move quickly, but it looks like we have him in a doomed situation, essentially. So maybe we take our time to a small degree, but probably not. Yeah, I mean, we see 2 units over here. There's likely going to be more units here, but he's only got so many men. We have our divisions. We did have to split the 27th up to an extent, which is a bit of a pain. But you can see we're going to have 2 2/3 of a division there. And the beauty is we'll be attacking into the ×2 terrain. I mean, what I'll probably do, I might even leave 1 unit here of that division, have another unit of that division there. And I think that might be the way to go. I might just simply do that, actually. It means that we actually have this road here. Should have been doing that. Meant to do that, which didn't expect that unit to march to the north there, but I suppose in hindsight it makes sense, doesn't it? Just hoped it didn't happen, but unfortunately it did. But oh well. Okay. So we're looking pretty good. What is more important, raise to Chongqing or taking the rail line to Changsha? Well, we've already got the rail line to Changsha. It's a very different campaign here that we have with Dan Man, because he's not moving a tremendous amount of actual assets on land, which, in fairness, it means that we get the turns back sooner rather than later, so I'm not complaining. He will eventually start moving them, or maybe he doesn't, I don't know, it's up to him really what he does. Ultimately, the Chinese don't mean that much to the war effort. They do and they don't. It's not China that wins the war. It's not the Imperial Japanese Army that wins the war in China. They don't lose the war in China. It does obviously tie up them up for an extended period of time. But the greatest strength and probably the greatest weakness of Japan is the fact that it's an island. Essentially a series of islands. So it's the US Navy that can move in there. And pretty much just cut it off and starboard. Oh, the Changsha Whaling Line. Oh, that one, no. It depends, really. It's very much context dependent, really. And if you can take it, take it. China's an odd one, really, because it's never going to be the same in 2 games, really. That's always a good place to start, because it's all the clear terrain there. You'll be able to win easy victories in this area here. If you can take SunYan, take SunYan because it's clear terrain. You can get SunYan. It's difficult to get there because you have all the wooded roof and stuff here. Wooded roof over here on these hexes, but you have these hexes here. You've got to move too quickly through these hexes. Yeah, the supply situation's good, which is nice. Okay. Yep. Then what we'll be doing then is march along the 4th road over here. Every single road you can take towards SunYan is a worthwhile one to take there. The reason being that you just clear out the Chinese in the area, but you try and ultimately prevent them from cutting you off, or from actually preventing you from getting to SunYan, from bogging you down essentially and delaying you. Okay. Yeah, Chungking is essentially a fortress. There's a reason why the capital was moved there. So I've got a number of these coins I need to fly out. I mean, these coins I can fly out, these base forces I'll have shifted elsewhere. I may maintain a... I could maintain like a koi here perhaps, or... Well, not a koi, a battalion would be nice to have potentially. But I don't have a huge amount of them. Some sort of unit here. It's a size 4 airbase, which is nice to have. Well, the actual port itself isn't anything special, so a base force is far too much for it, really. Likely just an airfield battalion would be worthwhile. Okay. Well, the good news is now... I mean, I may potentially have a Tainan KRS moved over here to Palembang. But Palembang does have... Actually, it's not bad on aviation support now. Yeah, it's not bad. I do have these sallies here. What about some of these fighters, then? So let's move these fighters into the hinterland. We do have fighters over here on Surabaya. I mean, the good news is he's going to have to shift these guys. Yeah, you can see he has his airstrike coordinated over here. Well, concentrated over here. But you can see that, I mean, even from Surabaya, he still has range for the most part. How high are those mountains? Pretty high. I don't know. If it's a mountain, it's a mountain, man. Okay. Not all that much to talk about here right now. So I do have these tankers loaded up on fuel. I may potentially just send them with that, but it's more efficient to actually send them with full loads than anything else. I can imagine it feels just as bad when you climb it. Okay. Right, so we are building up the airfield here at Singapore as well. I mean, I'll probably fortify Singapore. Maybe not immediately, but in the future I'll likely fortify Singapore. We do have 37,000 tons of shipyard capacity, which is nice now. And that has been built up slowly but surely. Well repaired slowly but surely. The great news is any ships that are damaged in the area can actually have moved into Singapore to be repaired. Will I mine Singapore? Likely so. Perhaps. It's one of those of maybe. We don't get that many mines, and it's a case of, is it worthwhile mining Singapore? Maybe, probably not. Probably not. I don't think it's probably worthwhile mining. We'll have light patrol boats out there, but I don't think it's worthwhile mining. We do have the ocean shallow, which is brilliant news. So we have the shallow waters around here anyway. So this area is pretty nasty for actual submarines anyhow. Mines would be nice, but the fact is we're going to have patrol boats pretty much over here 24/7 anyway. So the patrol boats will do well enough. We only get so many mines. It's one of those of like, it'd be nice to mine Singapore, but is it going to be really required? Not really. We'd be better off mining certain bases that will actually need the mines to protect them. Like Rabaul has mines, but they weren't of bloody use apparently. But Rabaul does need mines because it's one of those bases where it's a forward base, and we saw what happened with the bombardment. We're not going to see Singapore come under bombardment. Submarines in the area are a pain, but he knows he's not going to operate in the area here. You take a look at the actual sub over here, maybe one or two of them. I mean, let's go ahead and actually see if it was the same submarine, actually. Yeah, SunYan Manu got very lucky there. So it's KXVII. Oh, so we hit her twice then. Wow, she's really going to be hurted then. So she had 2 depth charges actually penetrate there. Nasty. We had 95 mines Rabaul. From multiple, in multiple little minefields as well. 500 is a humongous amount of mines. Mines are a funny thing, really. A couple mines are great, because it's one of those things that it makes it difficult for submarines to move in there. Makes it dicey. Lots of mines are nice because obviously it makes it difficult, because obviously then the enemy is going to have to spend time and bring, like, destroy minesweepers. The only issue is, with minesweepers, they will get the job done quickly, and you'll lose essentially a whole bunch of actual mine production. Well, a mine, what would you like to say? Sorry, it's just a pint still going through the system here, so I'm not exactly as worried as I normally would be. Probably a little bit more straightforward, though. Pluses, minuses. No, it's one of those. A couple mines are worthwhile. More than that, not so much. I'd say it's definitely a case of diminishing returns. I'd rather have lots of little minefields across the Empire than one large minefield here and there. The reason being, he can bring DMSs, and unless we had coastal defense guns, and even then, not all coastal defense guns are equal. You take a look at Singapore. If we had coastal defense guns like Singapore, or like Pearl Harbor, or something of that nature, we'd probably be able to do significantly better. And it does make me wonder, actually, because we do have, I believe the actual coastal defense force of truck, the actual guns, was eventually moved. Yeah, truck naval fortress. These guns, I believe, would eventually move to Rabaul. I don't know if I'd move them to Rabaul. In all honesty, I'd probably be, I'd be more likely to move them. Maybe to the Marianas. That'd be like pushing it. I'd likely have them move to the home islands, to be honest, perhaps. I don't know, it's one of those of like, where can you force the enemy to find you? I mean, that could be maybe useful at Singapore, but even then at Singapore, it's just not gonna happen, is it really? They're great guns. Probably would be better to actually have them at somewhere that can actually use them. Do you know what kind of defense the Germans adopted against the Soviet subs? The Germans built a huge metal fence that stretched across the Gulf of Finland. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty cool. Okay. Oh, good. So our supply convoy has arrived over here. Truck, excellent. So we do have now 26,000 tons of supply over here. In fairness, what I might do is actually... Well, no, actually, I do prefer actually using the fast transports. To be honest, it does seem to be a safer method of moving that supply. But we do have that 26,000 tons of supply here. We did have a couple of thousand tons just recently moved into truck as well. So that's going to definitely help us out here. Yeah. That'll take us back over to 100,000 tons of supply, so I'm going to be quite happy about it. Okay. Now, with the B-17s, I wonder if they were actually lost due to ops losses over here, because, yeah, we can see these guys are spotted. So I wonder if they were lost actually over here due to them flying. That makes sense. We do have these guys outside Palmyra, but we don't have them actually finding anything as of yet. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the destroyer out here is interesting. It would be nice if we had the actual means to attack it, but as far as it goes, Tulagi can take a hit. It can't dish a hit out, but it can actually take a hit. Okay, how are we looking on aircraft? Yeah, there we go. So there's not many aircraft left to repair now. These guys are still repairing. It is pretty impressive. His bombardment was really, really quite good. Really annoyingly good. Oh well. It is what it is. We still have these guys actually performing naval search, so they could still potentially attack units like this, and they likely will over time. Can the Allies use proximity shells, or... well, the Allies have superb AA. It is represented by them actually having adequate AA. AA that actually means something. So that's one way to actually represent it. Okay. I don't need this many heavy cruisers, to be honest. I would actually have left them at Singapore for the most part, but this is it. I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with them. I think it might be worthwhile to potentially have them move north. I don't have large numbers move north. It would be nice to actually have them available for bombardments, but I don't think I have anywhere that I actually need to bombard, to be honest. Which is a tricky situation to be in. It's a very strange situation to be in. A couple of them would be nice. To actually perform like proper escorting roles in the area there. Yeah, we'll have to decide when really. Yeah, no, right. No, we definitely had the stars aligned against us that day. Right, so this is a lot of APs. It's a lot of well, these guys aren't cheap, these Usanans. The reason why I went for these APs... Oh, by the way, I installed a mods a little while ago. Not too long ago, only like last week or the week before. But what it does is actually changes the look of these ships. So in time, they'll actually have camouflage, and I think it applies to all AKs. We'll see it and APs and stuff like that. I don't know if it's all ships, but it will apply to them as the war goes on. Let me see, ship database there. I know it definitely applies to the APs. Yeah, but it has changed the look of them, I believe. So we have a salmon brew here. I'm trying to find... That is a... crazy cool looking one, actually. Oh, here we go. That's an example there. A cool muru. A cool muru. So you can see we have like some camouflage there. As the war goes on, we'll actually see that mod come into greater use, really. I might be able to see it if I go and take a look at upgrades or something, but I don't think they have upgrades or anything like that. I think it's dependent on the time. So we'll see them change in the future to actually have camouflage. Right, so what I'll do... I mean, obviously we have this large task force. I didn't need it all here, but I had them actually for an SW group of DDs. I just wanted to get everything in here really quickly. So what I'll do then is... I love Vioi. Vioi is the sister ship to the Kitakami. I'm going to have her move down to link up with Kitakami. When we do eventually resurrect Kitakami. Back to this world. To suffer once again for the glory of Empire. See, I'd prefer to have less... I'd prefer to have no DDs in here, to be honest, but I don't have a plethora of PBs available right now. I do have assets moving here, but I don't have them here right now. What I love about... Well, actually, no, it makes sense to have DDs in here so they can move quickly. These guys move at 13. It'd be nice if they moved 2 knots faster, but I didn't want to send... I did have 18 knotters at Palembang, but I didn't want to send 18 knotters into that area, because I just don't want to lose them. I don't want to have them put at risk. At least these guys are cheaper. These guys over here are smaller as well. I wanted to have a lot of capacity so I could move the Imperial Guard Division and move it safely, ideally. What I'd like to do then is have it loaded separately, however. So what I'll do then is... I'll have that disbanded. So if I go over here then... I don't know why it's not showing me troops down here, but that's annoying. Okay. So I'm looking at troop load there of 4,000. 4,000. And 4,100 there. What I need to do then is create a couple amphibious task forces here that have about that sort of capacity. So what I'm going to do here then is AP. Oh, what I'll do then. So we have a number of these ships as well. They're larger. They have a lot. Well, they have a lot of endurance. I'll try and spread them out. Right, there we go. So we have 40. Sorry, we have 6,000 here now. I mean, that's what I like, is that we can actually move a third of a division across like that, which is pretty nice. So we'll have that one set up there. Take you. Take one of you. Right, there we go. So we can have these guys over here, and that's going to be enough to move the remaining element. I could potentially even take some other element here from Singapore if I so wish to do so, to be honest. Which would be nice. I just want to have an overabundance of capacity, really. So it's 6,000 here. Load you. So that's going to be a detachment. Oops, no, not that. I'm not too sure, really. I mean, ideally we do make the Rabaul area no-go. He'll probably move for the Central Pacific. He might even do something crazy, like potentially move for the northern area through the Aleutians. Not too sure. Load these guys as well. So we'll have C detachment there. Okay. So here then... So I do have the 2 base forces here. I was hoping that would have maybe a little bit more there to work with, but not really. I could maybe move a base force, but a base force would be nice, though, in all honesty. But it is nice to actually have these base forces here at Singapore. As to whether I need them here at Singapore long term, we'll see. It scares me that we haven't seen a single report about his BBs. You don't need to worry about the BBs, really. Well, I mean, they are something to worry about, but you got to think, like, the standards are very slow. Things that are slow, we can definitely deal with. Like, they're dangerous and they're armored, but... there's a reason why he doesn't operate his carriers with the BBs, is because they're so goddamn slow. That's the problem. So don't worry overly much about them. Do I want to keep a second base force here? No, not really. It's nice to have one. And even one's probably pushing it. So we'll have one of the base forces loaded up then. Yeah, we'll have more than enough capacity here. That's 6,605. Yeah, that's it. He will get them, but don't worry about them. I mean, that's what I mean. It's like, you can worry about everything. But I mean, let's be honest, the thing that's actually most dangerous are the carriers, and they're already out there. BBs are nasty, but the thing about BBs, and the thing about anything that actually fires a cannon at you, a gun at you, is it has to either see you or be within range of you. An aircraft has significant range. Significantly more range than any shell. Which is why they're dangerous. And they're also self-guided. In a way. So they're pretty nasty. Right, we'll get you on here. I will load up the base force. Well, we're pushing on cargo, but they'll manage it. And I do need that supply, so I'm going to have them actually total load supply. They're complaining there, so I wouldn't be able to move all of that. Right, I'll not move the base force with these guys then, fair enough. So verify. How much cargo would they carry? They'd carry 15, they would carry 13, they'd carry 13. I may go ahead and actually tell them to load up supply. There's only 52,000. I could definitely spare that. You can see the fuel started to concentrate here at Singapore, so we have 150,000 units here now. What is better to attack ships, bombs? Oh, what is... Oh, torpedoes, probably. Anything that makes it go down is good. I mean, torpedoes obviously have, like, a significant payload. But just the biggest thing you can manage and hit it in the weakest place it has, and you'll probably do fine. I mean, the Americans have the SBD Dauntless dive bomber. And that's good. But you can see that we did have the actual Nagara actually managed to survive a good couple hits against her. So it's quite nice. Okay. So I'm doing a lot of crap talking right now, because I'm still a little bit drunk. Mostly sober now. But what I'm going to do here then is call the stream to an end. I'll do the... Yeah, there you go, as Parmentier says there. Bombs are something that really do become more prevalent for the Japanese later on. Torpedoes are always going to be great because they have just so much explosive packer, explosive filler, whatever you call it. But yeah, and they hit the ship in an area where it is actually fairly weak. Of course, they can actually have torpedo bolts, but it's one of those things, it's quite a costly investment for a navy to have that sort of stuff, really. It's probably easier to protect against shells than it is to protect against bombs, and then again, no, it's arguable, really. I don't know jack about nav construction, so ignore me. But I'm going to call it here, so thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. It's been fantastic to have you once again. Do follow me here on Twitch if you guys have not already. And if you do have Amazon Prime, please do subscribe here on Twitch. It doesn't cost you anything, but it does help to support me as a content creator. It doesn't cost you a dime. It would be much appreciated. Until next time, goodbye for now. We should be able to get through this turn pretty quick. Maybe not tonight. Probably better to have it sent off tomorrow, but we'll see. We'll be there fairly quickly. Until next time, thank you for watching. Iceycrome. Sayonara. Jane. Until next time.